I am doing the other ones without sound, so you just have freedom to do whatever you want without guidance. But here, I'm going to actually talk through it a little bit more just to give you some ideas for how you might create impulses within your body that then you could apply to all the other positions. So I would suggest beginning the session making some sounding noises, and I would start with any vowel that resonates with you. O's and E's are a pretty good place to start, or just like a humming noise, like a like M noise, or actually hum a tune if it feels too weird to just make a solid noise. Now the purpose of this is to just bring attention into your body. So as you're laying here, you're already kind of checking in and settling in, allowing the ground to support you. But then when you start to add vibration into your body through sound, it'll be another avenue for you to bring your attention to the inside feeling out instead of the outside feeling in, which is what you sense with your back of your body against the ground. So I'm going to do a couple O noises just because they're really easy to hear. Oh. And as I continue to do sounding, I can feel the actual vibration going through my whole body down to my toes and my fingers, or I can actually feel the mechanics and how I make the vibration. I might be drawn to the pressure pushing the air out of my body, the sound wave itself in my throat. Whatever you're drawn to is fine, but we're going to use that awareness to start the impulse of motion. And I'm just going to do one more sound. And then I take that sound as the impulse. Then I just start some micro movements. Right now, I'm moving from 3 points directing what's going on. The back of my pelvis, the back of my rib cage, and the back of my head. And those are just large bony landmark areas representing the full length of my spine. So I'm trying to think of the movements being like undulations, kind of like a snake or a fish wiggling, or just something swirly. And as the size of the impulses grow, so they're still coming from that same initiation, the micro movements start to get a little bit larger and therefore drag other body parts into the motion. So if you do look, you'll see I'm kind of shifting my pressure around different parts of my feet and my hands so that my legs and arms can kind of help propel that wave motion through my spine. And I'm just going to take a pause. I don't want to be too repetitive in the motion, so just stopping every once in a while and then letting your body just go a different wave with it. I said wave with it, haha, wave with it. So that pause is really powerful. If you just kind of sit in it, it will push you in another direction. And if you find it doesn't, if you feel stagnant once you stop moving, don't stress it, just throw another breath or two of your sound. Which again, doesn't have to be the same sound if you want to explore different vowels, or again, singing, humming songs is really enjoyable. You can add one or more limbs starting to come off the ground for a way to change the impulse also. So I'm going to go into another pause. Now instead of letting my pelvis and spine move me, I'm going to move from my toes. Once again, starting with a little micro motion, and I don't know if you can see it, but my fingers are going too. They're just kind of responding to the action of the toes. I let that micro movement start to get a little larger. So my toes affect the pelvis, and that sets off a chain reaction. letting the spine move again, but all following what's going on at my foot. And if I bring myself into another pause here, I can now just bring my attention to my breath and let that be a force that starts the impulse again. I'm kind of pushing it down to my foot. And then letting the wave action start again. What I like about this type of self-exploration is it trains your nervous system to gather more information from the sensations inside of your body. Like right now, we're doing that by trying to imagine the movement is coming from the inside to the outside. Whether it's my spine or my fingers, the inside of my body is pushing into my skin. The fluid of my body is creating the motion. And what I feel against the floor is actually secondary. The floor becomes a tool. It is helping to propel me to motion, but I'm initiating it from the tissue of my body instead. I'm just taking the ground as safety and support to help me move. If you're a person that tends to have a dysregulated nervous system, I find this to be a very supportive, loving way to start to build the health back of the system. And by health, I mean the resiliency, the ability to shift gears from rest to action, from stress to calm. And you can also learn to develop trust in your body as you're exploring new novel movement patterns. You can notice now I'm just getting bigger, by the way, with my motion, just to kind of express how the micro movements can grow. Oh, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, but as I'm training the nervous system, I've got that level of it, but I also have the idea that I'm training new movement patterns. Since I'm doing nothing that's repetitive, everything's novel, it lights up my nervous system a different way to have to think about new movements that aren't familiar. And it also starts to let me trust my body about pain, belief systems about pain, relationship I have with chronic pain maybe. As you're undulating and moving around, you're approaching movement with curiosity, so you're not going to hurt yourself. If your body comes close to an area of pain that seems familiar, you can kind of just dance at the edge of it and just like feel it out without forcing it or pushing too hard. And that way sometimes you can kind of go through the pain. And I just mean be with it and make it melt away by just pausing, breathing, and seeing if there's another way you can go to come away from the edge of it. And even though I started on my back, you can see I'm going to go back to my back, but I am making whatever shape my body's going to let me. And it can't pose a certain way because of your flexibility or your pain. Your body's just not even going to suggest doing it. So I use this as our primary tutorial because the ground does provide so much support for your body. But then the rest of the videos are different positions where you have to bear a little of your own weight in the movement. So they're going to also be conditioning your body slightly differently. You bring your energy, your tone, tension level slightly different than this one's experienced. Okay. When you're done, you want to go back where you started. Well, I know I'm facing the other way, but just back to stillness. And do another drop-in or check-in where you're just settling back into stillness and feeling the weight of your body into the ground. You can do that as a body scan, just sensing your feet and feeling as much of the foot as you can with pressure all the way from the big toe to the pinky toe, and that forefoot all the way back to your heel. And then as you sense the back of your pelvis and your ribs and your your head again, try to let those large masses just sink into the mat. Like imagine you're on a Tempur-Pedic mattress and you're just trying to dent them into the material. And as you continue to breathe, use your breath as a tool to just drop in and surrender to the ground even more. Filling your ribs up in every direction when you inhale, and then exhaling also through your nose and just letting your body soften, letting tension melt away. Okay. So this is a decent chunk of time, but it is a delicious experience if you can give yourself, a half hour, 45 minutes to do that, taking breaks in between and going through cycles of the sounding, just to kind of remind you to stay in your body, to get back into your body anytime you get caught up in too much of the actual movement itself.